announcing that today we are filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump.
This lawsuit, Carly, is doomed from the start because the Attorney General that is bringing it, she bragged about doing so.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
Before she launched anything resembling an official investigation.
It's a frivolous lawsuit.
There may be some problems in the lawsuit.
Letitia James has politicized this investigation. She campaigned on vote for me and I'll nail Donald Trump. She has fundraised on it.
It's hard for me not to conclude it's a political hit job. And this is a woman who campaigned for office saying that, promising she was going to go after Trump.
The Trump's argument here is not absurd. It's not ridiculous. The crux of their argument is we have been politically targeted by this Attorney General, Letitia James. And you know what? They're right. And that's not a matter of opinion or speculation. That's a matter of fact.
Prosecutors should know when they take the job, they need to be more careful about talking about politics.
Even the New York Times pointed out how weak her allegations are.
Letitia James has a real big problem proving fraud against the former president.
She'll go after anyone to advance her political career.
She straight sliding over here to me. She do that Alabama shake like you ain't ever seen. I love my country, I love my country. Six strings and fiddles and skeet from Kentucky. We keep it funky, we like how it sounds. Monday to Sunday, yeah, I love my country. Up loud and proud, rolling into town, hanging out the window like a blue tick hound. Ain't sorry, ain't nothing to be sorry about. I love my country, yeah, I love my country. Up loud. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I say, we can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. So if an old friend I know stops by to say hello, would I still see suspicion in your eyes? But here we go again, asking where I've been. You can't see the tears are real, I'm crying. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. Won't let our love survive, or dry the tears from your eyes. Let's don't let a good thing die. When, honey, you know I have never lied to you. Yeah, we're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I say, don't you know I'm caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Don't you know I'm caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Don't you know I'm caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Don't you know I'm caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Don't you know I'm caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Don't you know I'm caught in a trap? I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby.
Look at this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's so big. He's so hot. Now, the little lion cubs, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him. Coming over, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this. And they start to move in. jackals, hyenas. They're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you. This is a big crowd. This is a beautiful, big crowd. Hello, Ohio. Hello, hello, hello. Amazing. I do wish the fake news would show this crowd. This is massive. This is incredible. This is incredible. I'm thrilled to be back in this wonderful state with the thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. You built this country. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, the great people of Ohio are going to send J.D. Vance to the United States Senate. And you're going to re-elect Mike DeWine as your state's governor and John Husted as lieutenant governor. You're going to vote for an incredible slate of true American first Republicans up and down the ballot, and we are going to end crazy Nancy Pelosi's political career once and for all. Right? That's right. Hello. Under Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, and the radical Democrat Congress, the great state of Ohio is under siege. You know that better than anyone. Biden and the far-left lunatics are waging war on Ohio energy workers. Just yesterday, Biden bragged that on his watch there is, quote, no more drilling. You know, that's not what he said. J.D., that's not what he said. He said it yesterday. Didn't quite know what he was saying. Then they tried to correct it today. They said, you didn't understand the meaning of what he said. Oh, no, he said no more drilling, right? But the energy costs in this country are skyrocketing like nobody's ever seen before. And so are the food costs, and so is every other cost. And you're paying a big price, like $1,000 a month in Ohio. They're strangling Ohio families with soaring prices and crippling inflation, costing the typical American household nearly $800 to $1,000. And in many cases, they're thinking the real number could be $1,200 every single month. The southern border, we had a southern border, was the best ever. It's wide open now. Millions and millions of illegal aliens are pouring into our country. Violent crime is out of control, and the far left is indoctrinating our children with twisted race and gender insanity in our schools like we've never even thought of before. This was never even thought of before. This country has gone crazy. There's only one choice to end this madness. If you support the decline and fall of America, then you must, absolutely must, vote for the radical left crazy people, the radical left Democrats. And if you want to stop the destruction of our country and save the American dream, then tomorrow you must vote Republican in a giant red wave that we've all been hearing about. There is no more urgent task for the future of our country than to stop the invasion on our southern border. 2 years ago, we had the strongest southern border in American history. There was nothing even close. Now it's the worst border, perhaps, in the history of the world anywhere. Because, as I say all the time, no third world country would put up with what we've put up with over the last 2 years. Sticks and stones, if they had to use them, give me a stick and give me a stone. They wouldn't allow this to happen to a country, even at a third world level. And I hate to tell you, our country is becoming third world. That's what's happening to us. Biden, Pelosi, and the radical Democrats spend all their time obsessing over the borders of distant foreign nations. Americans deserve a Congress and a president who will protect the borders of our nation, don't you think? And very simply, it's called America First. We came up with that little name, and, you know, they say on the other side, we will not let America First dominate. They should really say, we don't like Trump's policies, but you don't say, we don't want America First. And then they go after MAGA all the time. We will stop MAGA. Well, MAGA means make America great again. You know, they're pretty tough to stop, J.D. And good luck. Hey, J.D., you have some very good polls I saw today. What the hell am I doing here? Good night, everybody. We can make this one real short, J.D. Would you like to just do it for a quickie, or do you want to go through the whole deal? Uncle Sam, what do you want to do, Uncle Sam? We love Uncle Sam. You know, we have incredible women here from North Carolina, and they were with us yesterday in Miami. Did you see where we had a tropical storm? And it came down. I've never had rain like that. I've never seen anything like it. Everything was so beautiful, and we did it for Marco Rubio, and he is doing really well, I will tell you. He's doing really well. Our people are doing well, J.D., but all of a sudden, the song went off. You know the song. People love it. They love that last bit. Do you like it? I like it. I like doing it. To me, it's beautiful. It's more beautiful. Would anybody like to see me stop doing that? We'll do a poll, free poll. So who wants to do it? And who doesn't want to do it? So you know what I just did? I saved $1 million to a pollster. You know? No, they interviewed 203 people, and they tell you, that's a much better poll. I agree. No, it was beautiful. But the music went on, and it was like somebody took a large pail of water and dropped it on my head. And we said, I had a problem, because the teleprompters were useless, okay? They were absolutely useless. They went out. And I'm stuck up there with 25 minutes to go. And I had a choice. And they said, please come off the stage. You know, security, please come off the stage. Well, there was no lightning, so we didn't have danger. But I've never seen anything. This was like the worst shower you've ever taken. It was just pouring. And, you know, in Florida, it goes like that for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then it stops. The sun comes out. It's very quick, but it's brutal. So I'm doing it. And I had to throw away the teleprompters, and we did so well. And I was saying, what do you think would have happened to Biden if that happened? I don't think it would have been too good. I don't think it would have been too good. But, you know, the people, it was actually, people have said today, it was like a religious experience. the people, the music comes on, and then boom, we just got, it was like unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. You know, the teleprompters, one of them just crashed and broke. The other one was useless because you ever ride in your car where you get a really heavy rainstorm and try and see through without the windshield wipers? Which, by the way, they planned, it's called planned obsolescence. They can make a windshield wiper that would last 100 years. But they make them only so they last exactly 1 year, and then you have to buy a new one, which means they're smart, okay? Let's let them keep doing. But you ever do that where you're driving and you can't see? Well, that's what I had with my one little remaining teleprompter. So we had to go, and we had a great evening. One of the greatest rallies we've ever had, and it was caused by God sending us the heaviest rain I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. And nobody left. The media didn't even leave, the fake news. Oh, look at all of them. Wow. That's a lot of fake news back there. That's a lot of fake news back there. I'm looking at Eric and Don Trump. They're so lucky I allowed them to get into politics, right? They've been treated so kindly. These are the two most subpoenaed human beings in history. Al Capone. You ever hear of Alphonse Capone, the legendary? Jesse James, Billy the Kid. These two have had more and they're really good kids. This is, Dad, we got another subpoena from Congress, you know. Maxine Waters sent us, because she's a very honest person, Dad. She's a very honest person, Dad. No, I think they set a record. Most subpoenaed human beings in the history of the world. But, you know, the good news has been going on for 6 years. We're very honest. A friend of mine said, you have to be the most honest person ever. Years and years, millions and millions of pages of documents. JD, they checked every deal. They checked deals that I forgot about. And I said, I don't remember. I get a call from a guy who did a deal 22 years ago. Hi, Mr. President. I just wanted to let you know we were just visited by the law enforcement authorities. On what? That deal we did about 23 years ago. Oh, how's it doing? Well, we sold it about 5 times already. People I haven't heard from in years, they get visited by, these are sick people. These are sick people. But this is what we're going through. JD, you got to get it stopped because that's the beginning of communism. It's the beginning of communism. I think we skipped over socialism. I say it now. You say, we're going to be socialist. We are not. We've skipped over that. That's gone. Socialism is gone for about a year already, I think. We're into the world of communism right now. Last year, an average of 14 Ohio lives were lost to drug overdoses every single day, yet Biden and the radical Democrats do nothing to stop the lethal poisons pouring across our borders. And we had it almost stopped. We had the safest borders ever. That included human trafficking, and it included drugs, but it included people. We sent thousands and thousands of MS-13 back. I'll tell you what, ICE and Border Patrol and law enforcement, but they do a great job. They do a great job. Brandon Judd, Tom Homan, these are incredible people. Since the end of the Trump administration, the drug cartels have seen their revenue skyrocket by an astounding, listen to this one, you business people. You think you're good at business? You're nothing compared to these people. 2,500%. Would you say that's good? If that were stock on the New York Stock Exchange, it would be the hottest stock of the decade. The choice this election is simple. Democrats will defund the police. Republicans will defund the cartels. And that's what happens. Under my leadership, we waged war on the cartels. We ended catch and release. We stopped asylum fraud. And we threw illegal alien gang members out of our country by the thousands. And we got their countries, Guatemala, Honduras, we got their countries to take them back, JD. You know, they wouldn't take them back. Under the Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, under the Obama administration, they refused. They refused to take them back. They said, no, we're not taking them back. So I said, I tell this, it's unbelievable. Primarily 3, but there are others too. And said, how much do we pay them every year? What do we give them? $750 million, sir. That's a lot. I said, we're not going to pay him anymore. Stop payment. It's like a stop payment of a check. We stop payment and let them know because they're not taking back the people that they sent over. You know, they send those people over. These are very smart. They don't just happen to come. When you have these guys come over that look rougher than any prize fighter you've ever seen. These are rough people, tough people. They empty their prisons into our country. I said, send them back, send them back. And if they don't take them, you know, they put airplanes on their runways. So when our plane goes back loaded with these people that have to be out of our country, they said, no, you can't land. You can't land. You have no runway. You can't land. So I said, good. Stop the $750 million. The following day, I got a call from the head of Honduras. Nice man, by the way. Very smart, very streetwise. I'll tell you what, JD, these are streetwise people. These are smart people. They're at the top of their game, unlike others that we know about. These leaders are all at the top of their game. President Xi of China, all of them. But I said stop payment. So I get a call from Honduras. I get a call from Guatemala. I get a call from El Salvador. They are principal three. Now it's everybody. It's 129 different countries. We had last week 129 different countries. But they said, sir, we don't understand. And they called separately, almost like 8 o'clock in the morning. But I work early. So I said, yes, Mr. President, what is it? Sir, I understand you stop payment on the money that you send us on a weekly basis. I said, how much is it? Well, we get $250 million. I said, yeah, we're stopping payment. You're never getting it again because you don't take these people back. You sent them here in the caravans. You sent them. And now we're going to send them back. And he said, oh, I didn't know there was a misunderstanding. They've only been trying for 10 years to get them back, but nobody did this one. And he said, you know, honestly, sir, we would be honored to take them back. We love MS-13 gang members very, very much. We think they're wonderful people. We would love to have them back in our country. And I got the other 2 calls within about 20 minutes. All 3 calls within a half hour I got. And within 45 minutes they agreed. And we were sending them back by the thousands and thousands and thousands. And then this administration comes back. They don't send anybody back. We have the worst, some of the worst, toughest people that you've ever seen coming into our country, including terrorists. And we're going to be paying a price for years to come. You know, all my predictions have been right. They say Trump was right about everything. And I don't want to brag, but I was right about everything. And we're going to be paying a price. We've got to get them out. We got to get them out. We built hundreds of miles of border walls, and despite 2.5 years of Democrat lawsuits to stop it, and we won them all, many, many lawsuits, we completely finished our original wall plan. We had a border wall plan that was beautiful. And then I said, let's add more into certain areas where it was open like a sieve. So we added more. We got that finished, too, and just a little bit left. It would have taken 3 weeks, you heard this said. And they could have completed the job in 3 weeks, but the radical left Democrats didn't want to do that job. That's when I got wise to the fact. I said, you know, I really think they want open borders to ravage our country, and every day these Democrat policies are getting innocent Americans killed, and killed in large numbers. Earlier this year, an MS-13 gang member was sentenced for helping lure a teenage boy to a playground, beating him in the head with a baseball bat, and brutally stabbing him 32 times. This was an animal. Nancy Pelosi said, please don't call them animals. They're human beings. I said, no, they're animals. Of course, I think she's an animal, too. You want to know the truth? They'll say, oh, what a horrible thing he said about Nancy. She impeached me twice for nothing. Nothing. They'll say, oh, these people, the fakers back there. They'll say, what a horrible thing. He called Nancy Pelosi an animal. Let me tell you, what she does to this country and what she did to and the turmoil, and it was all, I used the word yesterday, I shouldn't. My great First Lady got very upset. I said, I will never use the word bullshit again. But what she did to us in this country, and yet we got more done as an administration and a president than just about any president in the history of our country in 4 years. In Boston last year, an illegal alien visa overstayer tried to rob a father of 12 children before stabbing him 8 times, viciously. And, of course, earlier this year, we all heard of the horrifying story of a illegal alien right here in Ohio charged with raping a 10-year-old child. That story's gone all over the place. When Republicans retake control of Congress, we must retake immediate action to force the restoration of all of our policies. All they had to do is leave it alone. We had the greatest border in history. I'll tell you 100 times, leave it alone. We had it so good, and it was getting better and stronger and stronger. The drugs were down the lowest they were in 32 years, and now the drugs are 7 times to 10 times higher than when we had it only 2 years ago. Think of it. The drugs are pouring in. I told President Xi of China, no more fentanyl. We're not going to do any business. We're not going to let you do any business. And, you know, it was getting stopped. Now it's gone crazy. What they've done is unbelievable. It's been unleashed. I want to do one thing because I think it's very important to do it. This is visit close to 100 of a group of very beautiful, I'm not allowed to say that, so I won't. They're very beautiful nevertheless. Young women from North Carolina. This is, I think, their 100th rally. And they were so good. And actually, that's peanuts compared to Uncle Sam here and some of these people. They follow me no matter where the hell I go. I see Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, there he is. Uncle Sam is driving me crazy. Where's Uncle Sam? You're the greatest. Look at Uncle Sam. There he is. Look at this guy. And that's not a stage deal. This guy's for real. But, you know, he loves... Uncle Sam, do you love our country? Huh? You better believe it. No, he loves it better 2 years ago, but you're going to love it a lot very soon. But this guy... He's actually better looking than the real Uncle Sam, if you want to... But these... ladies are obviously very well-to-do. They're so magnificently attired, and they follow the tour. They go at the tour. Sometimes I feel like a rock star, J.D., because we have a tour. We have a lot of people. See the front row Joes? These front row Joes, these are serious people. And you know what? They're all successful. They make money. They've got cars and trucks that cost a fortune. You got to see the paint job. I call them sometimes if I want something painted. I said, who the hell painted the beautiful flag on your truck? The talent they have is incredible, but we love our front row Joes. But you know, and they've been here for 3-4 days waiting. I'm surprised you don't get better treatment than that, like you can't work a deal with one of our guys to get in without all the waiting. But you actually like the waiting, right? It's like a tailgate party. A lot of people, they're here. They started here 4 days ago. We've had some places where it's been a week and a half. But these ladies are, would you stand up, please? Look how incredible they are. Look at this. They're like central casting. I mean, how beautiful. I'm not allowed to use that term anymore. It used to be you could say they're beautiful women. Today, if you use that term, they say, what a horrible thing that he is. But you are beautiful women. Look at them. We're close to 100, right? Close to 100. Unbelievable. They travel from North Carolina. They're all married. I don't know what their husbands must be thinking. How are you doing with the husbands? Are you okay? The marriages are intact? No, but sometimes the husbands come too. I think as little as possible. I don't think they want the husbands to come. But you're great. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you. You're really great. Great people. Great, great people. Instead of doubling the number of IRS agents, we should double the number of ICE and Border Patrol agents. And we should pass legislation to deport every illegal alien that Joe Biden has unlawfully allowed to break into our country. We're going to make America great again, and we are going to do it. First, we have to make America safe again. It's not safe. We don't have a safe country anymore. You know, in Afghanistan, I was very tough on Afghanistan. I spoke to the leader, Abdul. The fake news went crazy. Why would you call the Taliban? Because that's where, remember Jesse James, why do you rob the banks? He said, that's where the money is. Why do you call the leader the Taliban? That's where the problem was, right? and Abdul, and I got along with them very nicely. They hate when I say that. I got along with Kim Jong-un very nicely. Isn't that good that I got along with him, right? We didn't end up in a nuclear war. You would have ended up in a nuclear war at that time, believe me. And you could end up in another one, a different one, with him and also Russia and also others, because our people don't know what the hell they're doing, okay? But we have so many things happening that were, call them unforced errors. Inflation should have never happened. That was caused by energy. Now everything's inflated. In fact, energy is less than many other things. Forget about buying a turkey for Thanksgiving. Has anybody bought your turkey yet for Thanksgiving? Because if you haven't, don't even waste your time. Number one, you probably won't get it, and if you do, you're going to pay approximately 3 times more than you did. Under the radical left Democrats, the streets of our cities are ruled by bloodthirsty gangs and violent criminals. Much of the crime wave is caused by drug dealers who, during the course of their lives, will kill an average of 500 Americans. Think of that. A drug dealer, you see, a drug dealer will kill, on average, 500 people. I am calling for the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers, which will, upon its passage, reduce drug distribution and reduce crime in our country by a minimum of 75% on the first day that this policy is instituted. And maybe I could ask JD to lead it. You will never lose an election again if you did. And I don't like to bring this up. It's a tough subject. I don't know if the country is ready for it. I can tell you with President Xi in China, I see him. I say, President, you have 1.5 billion people. Do you have a drug problem? No drug problem. I say, how do you do that? I really sort of knew, but I didn't want to. How do you do that? And he probably thought I was somewhat naive. He goes, we have quick trial. I said, what's a quick trial? I think I knew what that was, too. That means they catch a drug dealer. They give them a quick trial. Not a trial that takes 12 years and 12 years of appeals, 25 years later, and everyone's dead by the time they get to the end of the... No, this is a trial that takes approximately 2 hours. And if they're guilty, they are executed. And the bullet, and you know the bullet, I don't know if anybody wants to know this, it gets a little bit too graphic, but the bullet is sent to their families. You know that, right? You know that? It's actually sent to their families. It's pretty tough stuff. There's no games. So they have no drug problem whatsoever. He actually thought it was a foolish question. I said, do you have a drug problem? Absolutely not. What are you talking about? Of course we don't, because we don't play games. You look at Singapore, you look at other countries, wherever they have the death penalty, 0 drug problems. Drugs are causing us tremendous problem. And unless you do this, I'm tired of blue ribbon committees. You know, I set up these wonderful blue ribbon committees composed of diplomats, people like nice people, society ladies from New York. They care, but you're dealing with very, very vicious, very smart, very tough people making a fortune. You have to get tough, and if you don't do the death penalty, you'll never stop crime in this country, and you'll never... As great as our police are, and they're great, we have to give them back their authority, but you can stop 75, 80% of the crime in this country with the proper passage of a meaningful bill. And it's got to be done. I don't like being the one to say it. Other people, everyone agrees with me, by the way. I have nobody that doesn't. Remember, everyone kills 500 people, so you're doing something that's a good thing. But all of the countries that do that, and there are quite a few, they have no problem whatsoever. With a Republican Congress, we must also pass critical funding to hire thousands more police officers nationwide and put violent criminals behind bars and keep them behind bars. We need to let our police do their job. We love our police, and look, they know what to do, but they're prevented from doing their job. If you want safety for your family and security for your community, you need to vote. Look, you got to get these people out of office. They got to leave because they're killing our country. Defund the police. How about defund the police? There is a city I won't mention because I know some very good people there. I know some people in the real estate business, they're dying. You get robbed and you call the police and they'll show up. They'll do the best they can to show up 8 hours later. You know that story. If you're being accosted, Uncle Sam, if you're being accosted in a certain number of cities, it takes hours and hours for the police to come. And then they want to defund the police, and it has to be just the opposite. So vote Republicans up and down the line. We all agree we got to stop crime. The Democrats are a catastrophe. Every single Democrat city is a disaster without exception. There is no exception. And the Republican cities and the Republican states run very well. And that's not because I'm out here to promote a product. I'm not. But that's the way it is. You look at the list. 25 out of 25, the most dangerous places on earth. Again, more dangerous than Afghanistan. When I told Abdul, don't kill our soldiers, they were killing a lot of soldiers. They're snipers. Losing a lot under the, under the Obama administration was a disaster. And I said, don't do it, Abdul. Don't do it. But why, he said. But why? Do you send me a picture of my house? I said, because I think you have a beautiful house, Abdul. Don't kill any more of our soldiers. And from that call on, 18 months. And you know what? Biden actually used it in one of his speeches, and they really they were screaming at him to, don't say that. They didn't want, because it's good. 18 months, not one soldier was killed for 18 months until the disaster at the airport, which should have never taken place, because you don't move the soldiers out first. You move the soldiers out last. One of the worst and most sinister aspects of the Biden administration is their complete and total corruption of our justice system and the rule of law. Before our very eyes, Biden and his left-wing handlers are turning America into a police state. That's what we're turning into, a police state. Like something out of the communist countries that you would read about all the time. The radical Democrats are locking up pro-life activists, persecuting their political opponents, silencing dissent, and using the full force of government, law enforcement, and the media to try and defeat our movement. And by the way, Catherine Engelbrecht of Truth to Vote was let out of prison today. She was let out of prison today. She did an incredible job. She was studying the tapes, thousands of hours, along with incredible patriots, many, many men and women. They had a team, and they did, 2,000 mules, and amazing job. I don't know if you know that a week ago they put her in prison. And you know why? They made up some excuse about not revealing a source. Well, how about revealing the source that leaked the information from the Supreme Court? Why don't you do something with that person? They put her in prison because she wouldn't reveal. But they didn't put the reporter in prison. Who knows who that person is, right? You could find that very easily. The Supreme Court could find that very easily. I'm giving that information to the Supreme Court because I think the leaking from the Supreme Court, first time it's ever happened, is just unbelievable. But you get the information very easily. You tell the reporter, who is it? And the reporter will either tell you or not. And if the reporter doesn't want to tell you, it's bye-bye. The reporter goes to jail. And when the reporter learns that he's going to be married in 2 days to a certain prisoner that's extremely strong, tough, and mean, he will say, he or she, I think I'm going to give you the information. Here's the leaker. Get me the hell out of here. Every freedom-loving American needs to understand the time to stand up to this growing left-wing tyranny is right now. If you want to save your rights and liberties, you have to start by dealing a humiliating rebuke to the radical left in this election. This is so important, this election. J.D. Vance. His opponent is making me like I'm his best friend. I don't know this guy, but he's far left. He voted with Obama. I think he voted with Obama and with Biden 100% of the time. And now he's going out saying Trump is great. I agree with all his policies. I love Trump. I think Trump is wonderful. I don't know the gentleman. I can tell you this. He's not for us. He's a radical left lunatic who's now trying to jump on the bandwagon because that stuff failed so badly. But they're not going to stop. They're going to continue to go on with it. Tomorrow you have to crush the communists because that's what they are at the ballot box. For 6 straight years, the witch hunts, hoaxes, and abuses have been coming fast and furious. They are abuses and they are hoaxes. First we learned they spied on my campaign. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we spied on Barack Hussein Obama's campaign? It would be the death penalty. You get the death penalty, Uncle Sam, death penalty, right? They would reinstitute the death penalty. Trump spied on Obama. Can you imagine? We caught them spying on my campaign. Nothing happens. And then you have a guy like Bill Barr. He's so petrified of being impeached, he doesn't want to do it. Oh, sir, they're going to impeach me. I said, I got impeached twice. My poll numbers went up. What's the big deal? It's true. I told him. But he didn't want to be impeached. He didn't want. No, sir, the election was beautiful. You know, 2 months before, he was talking about how corrupt everything was with the election. The U.S. attorney from Pennsylvania, he wrote a letter saying Barr would not let him investigate Philadelphia, which was so corrupt, so corrupt. And the Philadelphia court, you know, just ruled that it was corrupt. And they said it was all those ballots, hundreds of thousands of ballots were invalidated. But they said we won't talk about 2020. From now on, you can't do that. You know what that means? That means Mike Pence should have sent it back to the legislature. That's what that means. He should have done it. He's a good man. He's a good man, but he should have done it. He made a mistake. He had bad advice. Because we were right. We were right about that. Then they lied to Congress. They lied to the FISA court and created a fake dossier that wasn't good for me to go home that night and explain to the First Lady. That was not a good dossier. J.D., you never want to have to do that. Never. That was not good. But she actually believed me. She said, I know that's not your thing. You know why? Because I'm a germ freak. She said, you're not. That's not your thing. That's not. But the fake dossier that was done and paid for by crooked Hillary Clinton, the Democrat National Committee, and the Democrat Party, they found that out later. This dossier that was this thick, it was paid for by crooked Hillary and the Democrats. And yet, after all of their lies and all of their corruption, these same people keep coming after me. They keep coming after Trump. Remember, first it was Russia, Russia, Russia. Then it was Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Remember that, the perfect phone call? And the Mueller witch hunt, where the conclusion was no collusion. Think of that. The conclusion was no collusion. Now, do you think Biden can say that? I don't think. Could you imagine if they gave him that? Even if it was on a teleprompter, I'd give him a 2% chance of getting that one done. And then they hit me with impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, the censorship of the Biden family corruption story as Russian disinformation by the FBI. Remember when they went up to Facebook and they said that his laptop from hell, they call it the laptop from hell. Somebody named Miranda Devine wrote a great book, and she gives me credit for that. She said, I saw that name. You use that name. I'm so happy with my names. I love my names. But she said Laptop from Hell was so good that she used it on a book, and it was an incredible book, actually. And she's a fantastic reporter. But it was the Laptop from Hell, and they said it was Russia disinformation. No, it wasn't. It was from Hunter. Can you imagine the father? I'm not sure he understood it. But assuming he understood what was on that laptop. No, could you imagine? Don, if that ever happens to you, if you ever have a laptop like that, I swear, I'll never speak to you again. Okay? Eric, that includes you, just so you know. No, could you imagine? Assuming he knew what the hell he was doing, could you imagine when he sees, oh my, have you seen what's in what's in, that the fake news, all those beautiful people, look at them, they're waiting for something. Look at them. That's a lot. Wow. But could you imagine, though, if we had an honest press where they would actually report what's on that laptop? That laptop is a disaster. And he left it with the repairman. And the repairman is waiting, trying to figure it. Then he opens it up one day and he says, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And it was just minor stuff is reported, but that thing is a disaster and they get left alone. But everyone knew that the Russia disinformation wasn't true. And it made a 17-point difference in the polls, but we didn't need it. We had plenty of votes. We had more votes than any president, any sitting president ever. More votes by far. By far. We didn't need more votes. All we needed was honest vote counters, Uncle Sam. You know, the vote counter is more important than the candidate. I hate to tell. I could take a great candidate like J.D. Vance, and I could take a great vote counter, some crook, some Democrat crook, radical left crazy man, and I'll bet on that guy every time. I hate to say it. You got to be careful. We have to strengthen up, and we have to go to all paper ballots very quickly. Same day voting, all paper ballots. Voter ID, very simple. You know, in Pennsylvania, they just announced, here we go again, that it could take 3 or 4 days to come up with a vote. So we're going to be watching this election for maybe weeks. And the purpose of these machines one of them was speed, right? Well, in France, 36 million people, it was all done by 10 o'clock in the evening, and nobody was complaining. I mean, you had one person that was sad and one person that was happy, but there were no complaints. And you had all paper ballots, all same-day voting. This stuff with 48 days to vote. And then they take boxes of ballots and they put them here, and they take a wheelbarrow full, they put it there. You got some, nobody knows what's going on. Why are they moving all those ballots? Why are they going? This is the most corrupt system, and that's why we have to have not a Bill Barr that's afraid to act. You need people that are really tough and really smart and that love our country and don't care. They love our country. You got to solve this problem. But one way you can help is by just swamping them with good votes. And that's what we have to do, J.D. We have to get out there and swamp them with votes, because that gets harder. The more you get, the harder it is. You know, it's sort of a simple formula. And then it was the January 6th Unselect Committee. I love that term. I never got credit for that term. You know, they go over it like it's nothing. I say that term. I give it to the biggest reporters, the Unselect Committee. They never correct me. They say, this guy's impossible. But I love the term. I think it's one of the best, the Unselect Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs. And they have just appalling misconduct on that committee. And the two things they won't discuss on that committee are the fact that Nancy Pelosi is in charge of Capitol security. And we recommended from 10 to 20,000 soldiers be there, because we knew it was going to be a lot of people coming. Everybody I called, everybody I spoke to, I'm going to be there on January 6th. I said, a lot of people are going to be there. All I did was make a speech, right? Peacefully and patriotically. I said, peacefully and patriotically. And they say, oh, that's so terrible. You ever hear Maxine Waters' speeches? You ever hear some of these? You ever hear Schumer's speech in front of the Supreme Court? That he should have been in trouble for that speech. And I told our Attorney General, you should look at that. If a mobster made that speech, they would have been put in jail for 10 years for what Schumer said in front of the courthouse. And he knows it's right. I pressed it very hard. I said, what he said is terrible. But the appalling misconduct is taking place now by the racist, incompetent New York State Attorney General, Letitia Peekaboo James. She's terrible. Who is presiding over record numbers of murders, rapes, drug deals, and every other form of crime. She's horrible. She doesn't give a damn about New York. New York's going to hell. In our once great New York State, but only spends her time going after political opponents. That's all she cares about. She wants to go after political opponents. She ran for governor. She got so little vote. She ran for 5 weeks and she got out. She didn't even register in the polls. But yet she said, I'm going back to the Attorney General position. You know, she left the Attorney General position to run for governor. She failed, and then she went back. Just last week, at her request, a radical left lunatic judge named Engoron, Democrat, big radical left Democrat, truly hates me. An arrogant, out-of-control, Trump-hating maniac who is totally dominated by my worst enemies in the Democrat Party. This is a judge that's dominated. This is a guy that's going to make a decision on me and those boys and my family, and hates Trump beyond anything I don't know him, never met him. But he actually said in court that, quote, he's just a bad guy, Trump. He's a bad guy. I never met the gentleman. I know nothing about him. I created thousands and thousands of jobs, built an unbelievable country. The company that I built is unbelievable. Very little debt, unbelievable assets, great everything. It's great. And I got this guy looking, and I don't get a jury. I don't even get a jury. I said, I want jury. No. This guy's supposed, it's a corrupt system. New York is a very corrupt judicial system, and they better get it straightened out because businesses are leaving New York because of things like this. But they started a process of unconstitutional property confiscation, very much akin to Venezuela, Cuba, or the old Soviet Union. This case was supposed to be in front of another judge with experience, but New York State court system doesn't do that because it's corrupt. It's a corrupt system. It really is. You have a much better system in Ohio. I don't know who the hell's in charge of it, but they've done a much better job. But they should take this Engoron off the case and put somebody that can be fair. You can't have impartial. You can't have judges that are totally partial. They have, they have their hatreds. This is a Trump hater. You can't do that. So I'm being judged by this political never-Trumper, and I'm not even allowed, think of it, I'm not allowed to have a jury. This is the beginning of communism. Likewise, a local left-wing DA in Atlanta is after me for an absolutely perfect phone call about election integrity, even while Atlanta has among the highest murder rates per capita of any city in the country. They actually are higher than per capita, worse than Chicago, which is a disaster. And all of these local Democrat-run cases are being directed by Washington, D.C. It's part of the witch hunt. I've gone on the largest witch hunt in history. I have gone through the largest witch hunt in the history of our country, and it's a disgrace. And, a friend of mine, very smart guy, came up to me. He said, you've been going through this for 6.5 years. You have to be the most honest person. It's true. Can you imagine? 11 million pages of documents they've examined, and they got nothing. They have one person that they're torturing. Think of this, about a company-owned car, didn't pay tax on a company-owned car, didn't pay tax on a company-owned apartment. They're called fringe benefits. Didn't report that I paid the education for his grandchildren. A very good man, 75 years old. They're torturing him because they want him to say anything bad about Trump. Say something bad. They put him in handcuffs. A friend of mine owns a big accounting firm. He said, there's never been a case like this before. They have persecuted this man in order for him to say something. And then ultimately they offer him a deal. You go to jail for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, or you go to jail for many years. He said, I have to say, this is what, think of what they did. Anybody out here would probably take a deal like that. I wouldn't, I'll be honest, I wouldn't. But they torture, and this is what they used to do and do currently in communist countries, and that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Think of it. Handcuffs, walked in front a man that never heard of jail before, a man that never had a problem with anything before, handcuffs, and they perk-walked him in front of the press in handcuffs, and nobody has ever been criminally charged in this country, from what we understand, on a fringe benefit case. A company-owned car, think of that, didn't pay tax on a company-owned car, a company-owned apartment. And they say that very few people do. How many people, I wonder, how many people here have a company-owned car? Anybody have a company? Do you pay tax, sir? You know what? Cover your face, please. Do you pay tax? Uncle Sam, do you have a company-owned car, please? I guarantee even Uncle Sam probably doesn't pay tax, But it's a shame. It's a shame. When I see what's going on, it's a shame. Our country is really going to hell. We have a weaponized Department of Justice and a weaponized FBI, including, of course, the raid of Mar-a-Lago in the document hoax case, totally violating my Fourth Amendment rights. And no president has ever been treated this way. Clinton, the sock case, he had things in his socks. Nothing happened to him except a great verdict. He's got a great verdict. We go by that verdict, the socks verdict. But no, he had it in his socks. You know that, right? And others took many, many documents. They take them out of the White House. They took documents. I'm the only one that can't take anything. But maybe our country would be better off if I actually had the nuclear codes, JD, because our enemies would be afraid, unlike the way they are now. If I had the nuclear codes, Bill Clinton, don't forget, he lost the nuclear codes twice. How do you explain that to the military? I've lost the military codes. He lost the military codes twice. I didn't. They're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. That's all it is. And if I wasn't leading in all these polls, I don't know, if you find those poll numbers, you could put them up. If you find them back there, you geniuses that do this stuff, put them up. Let me know when they're up. We'll talk about them. But we have poll numbers that are through the roof, and so do Republicans. This is going to be a wave. I think this is going to be a very big wave. I hope so. Starting right here. The radical left thinks by doing all these wicked and venomous things, they are making us weaker, but actually they are making us much, much stronger and more unified. That's what's happening. I believe, just like these rallies are bigger than they were before the election. Oh, there they are. Look, poll numbers. Okay, first one, support 86. That's good. But look at the strong support. That's for Trump. Strong support. 64, right? My eyes are okay. Not great, but they're okay. Somewhat so. So look at those numbers. Okay, next slide. Go ahead. These guys are amazing. I didn't even know we'd be doing this. Look. Look. Now there's the... oh. All right, so it's Trump, 71. Ron DeSantis, 10. That's okay. Mike Pence, 7. It has to be an incorrect poll. You know why? There's no way Cheney gets 4%. I don't believe. What a stiff. What a stiff. Wyoming did a great job. They got her out. The biggest defeat in the history of a congressperson. Nobody's ever lost by 40%. Nobody's ever lost by 40%. She did. So anyway, no, good people up there. They're all good people. Tim Scott is a great person. There are a lot of good people. Okay, what's the next one? Let's go. Do this fast. You all having a good time? Is there any time better than a Trump rally? Are you having a good time, please? Huh? Sure as hell, a lot of you. I wish someday the camera's going to show that. Oh, they will. If someday we have 200 people, they'll show that, but they never show it these crowds because they're fake and they're dishonest and they are truly the enemy of the people. I hate to say it, and they shouldn't be. So that's the Ohio. Did you ever hear of a state called Ohio? Remember when Biden came here and he said, it's great to be with the people of Michigan? That did not play well. Remember? And when he went to Iowa and he said that he's in Idaho, right? He said, I love the potatoes. And they're saying, we don't do the potato thing here. Oh, what we go through. No, go back to that one because I love it because it's Ohio. What did it say there? Let's see. Ohio general election, Trump 55, Biden 35. So it hasn't changed too much since the election. It's just gotten better. So that's plus 20. Are you hearing this fake news media? You faking son of a... Okay, let's go to the next one. Go to the next one. Nevada. Trump is up plus 12. And by the way, look at your friends over there. You see that? Laxalt is up plus 5. Lombardo up against the governor. Sisolak, a real beauty he is, up 5. That's great. Trump up 12. Let's go to the next one. These are great polls. They just came out. General election, Trump plus 11 on Joe Biden. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's North Carolina. They're saying there's no way it's only 11. I don't think so. I agree. And by the way, you know who's here from North Carolina? A wonderful person named Lara. Lara, stand up, please. Will you go over and shake their hands, please, Laura? She's so popular. She's so popular. Ted Budd is doing great, but he said if she ever runs, I'm out of this race, okay? Ted Budd is doing great. Laura, you just made 20 new friends, okay? And let's see. So that was North Carolina. Go ahead next. We're way up. What's next? Isn't that nice? Look at that one. Plus 13. Wow. You know what that is, don't you? You know what state that is? Look at that. Plus 13. Nobody wants to see that. Look at that. Kansas. Great place. Plus 13. What's next? These just came out. Missouri. Trump. Plus 16. I love Missouri. Joe Biden. So we're 53. Biden's 37. And Missouri. Good guy running for the Senate there, too, right? A good guy. Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt is doing well. Next. Oklahoma. Plus 29. I love Oklahoma. Wow. Trump 59, Biden 30. And, you know, you almost wonder, who the hell are the 30%? Who are they? Nothing good is happening in our country. And I don't know, they probably have some more, but they're all like this. It's incredible. It's incredible. And, you know, these are misinformation people. All they do is misinformation and cheating on elections, okay? Because how do you win an election when you have defund the police, no voter ID, high taxes, open borders, bad military, no money spent on military? You know, I mean, how do you win elections with this stuff? No more oil, high energy prices. The only way is you cheat, okay? You know, they want no voter ID. They don't want any country ID. In other words, if you are from another country, you don't have to prove anything. You just go in and have fun, vote, because that's how they win the election. That's the only way they win, because their policy is so bad, they shouldn't even be in the elections, okay? To every citizen who's appalled by the radical left's lawlessness and corruption, this election is your chance to make your voice heard. This is a big deal. This is a big election. And early voting, which is a little concerning, because when you see early voting, I say to everybody, vote on Election Day, because it's harder for them to cheat. You know, it's much harder because they don't know how many votes they have to produce. They don't know how many ballots they have to print out. You know, you keep them in suspense, and then you say, nope, we beat you here. With your vote, you can reject left-wing tyranny and proudly declare the America must remain a free country. It's got to remain a free. This is not a free country. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would have not done the damage that Joe Biden has done to our nation in less than 2 short years. Take a look at the screen.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Well, it's focused. I haven't. Look.
Let's get ready to bumble!
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America. I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Wait. All men and women created by go. You know the thing. If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway. We went for 2 reasons. One, to
True international effort to pressure.
when they tried to do, we went to 54 states. What are you talking about?
We choose truth over facts.
I've had a couple Washington visits. But the nature, not Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here. What am I doing here? Come on, man. Tucker, yeah. Thank you for your tolerance and listening to me. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. So, you know, when you see that, remember that We are dealing with people that are at the absolute top of their game. And we're dealing with nuclear weapons. Nuclear was never discussed, never supposed to be discussed. It's so devastating, you just can't talk about it. We're talking about it every day. And we have people that don't know what they're doing. It's a very sad thing. And I personally believe it's the most dangerous time in the history of our country. We have people that don't have a clue. And we're dealing with weapons that are hundreds of times more powerful than anything we ever had before. Under my leadership and with the help of Ohio energy workers, we had for the first time American energy independence, and we're going to energy dominance very shortly. And now Biden is begging, absolutely begging and pleading with OPEC. Did you see that with the fist bump? But instead of increasing production, they cut it. They cut production. Did the exact opposite of what he asked. We gave you the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in American history. You had your industry going better than it ever was before. By contrast, the radical Democrat Congress passed one of the largest tax hikes in American history. Unbelievable tax hike. Horrible tax hike. Really going to be bad for our country. Under the Trump administration, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world with no inflation. Biden and the Democrat Congress created the worst inflation in 50 years, 9.1%. But you know it's much higher than that. It's not 9.1. I bet you it's double than that, probably more. I rebuilt our military, including our nuclear capability and the creation of Space Force, first time in 79 years, Space Force. And you know you have a lot of Space Force workers right here, Ohio. A lot of work is done on Space Force in Ohio. They surrendered our strength and turned Afghanistan into the greatest humiliation our country has ever had. I believe it was the most humiliating thing that's ever happened to our country. And now we have a war between Russia and Ukraine with potentially hundreds of thousands of people dying. That would never have happened if I was president. It would never have happened. Even the other side admits that would not have happened. The election was rigged and stolen, and now our country is being destroyed. I ran twice, I won twice, and I did much better the second time than I did the first. Getting millions and millions more votes in 2020 than I got in 2016, and likewise getting more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. So, the first step to saving America is winning an epic victory for Republicans tomorrow. I don't have to say dates anymore. I don't have to say it's going to be in 3 weeks and 2 days. JD, all that work tomorrow, you're going to be so happy. I believe you're going to be happy. I believe it. Going to be your next senator from this great state of Ohio, J.D. Vance. We love you, J.D. I've gotten to know him really well. He's a great guy. He didn't used to like me too much 2-3 years ago. But he likes me now, and I like him. And I don't think it changes. I have some of them, and sometimes I won't let him back in. But I met with him, and I tell you what, he gets it. He's smart. He's tough. And he was right about a lot of things, J.D. will fight for Ohio with every bone in his body. As a native of your state who has personally witnessed the pillaging of Ohio jobs and the devastation of Ohio communities, J.D. knows how important it is to have leaders who put America first and put Ohio first. He wants to put America first. They think that's such a bad thing, so bad. He's a former Marine and a Yale-educated lawyer. He's a great student. I spoke to somebody that went to Yale with him. He said he was a great student, so I might as well tell you that. Some people said, oh, don't put it out. He's elite. Well, yeah, he's elite. He's elite in intelligence, and that's what we want, right? Don't we want that? And he'll bring the toughness and intellectual firepower we need to champion our movement and our values in the U.S. Senate. He will fight for strong borders, fair trade, more Ohio jobs, and he will be tough as you can be on crime. J.D. will never be owned by the establishment. He won't be owned by me either, unfortunately. I'd love to own the guy, but I don't think he'll be there for me, but that's okay. You know what? I'm doing the right thing for the country. He's a very independent guy. And he'll be an independent senator who is loyal only to the people of Ohio. That's what he loves, the people of Ohio. He loves this state. When J.D. wins tomorrow night, you are going to hear the wailing and shrieking of the fake news all the way from New York to Washington, because the media will know that Ohio has just elected a truly MAGA all-star. Make America great again. He's an all-star. And he has been for a long time. We're actually saying the same thing, but we're saying it differently, don't you think? You know, when I really look back, we're saying the exact same thing, just a little bit differently. J.D. is running against a do-nothing, showboating, radical Democrat politician named Tim Ryan. I've watched him. He fought me on the wall. He fought me on everything. Tariffs on China. Did I hit China hard? We took in $430 billion from China. Not one other president took in 10 cents. Ryan pretends to be a moderate, pretends to be almost a Trump supporter, but he's voted with crazy Nancy Pelosi 100% of the time over the last 2 years. 100%. And then he tries to say that he's with me. He's not with me. He supported Joe Biden's war on American energy. He voted for a massive tax increase on Ohio workers and families. And he voted for mass amnesty and free government health care for illegal aliens. He wanted them to come in. He wants the open borders, let them all come in from all over the world, even if they come from the prisons of these other places that are very tough places. Tim Ryan declared that he is all for releasing criminals from prison and emptying out American jails, and he supports abolishing cash bail. That's the real Tim Ryan, by the way. That's not the Trump ally. Tim Ryan has also voted repeatedly to continue Democrats' war on Ohio energy workers. He wants to stop energy, and you make a fortune with energy and a fortune in jobs. Your taxes would double and triple if you ever did that. He voted to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. How about that one? I started it immediately, my first day in office, and they ended it as soon as they got there. He said that a plan to eliminate coal-fired power plants was amazing. He just loved it. He used the word amazing. And he said that he wants to get rid of all gas vehicles, which would decimate the Ohio auto industry. He wants to go to all electric. Wonderful. Great for China. Not good for us. Great for China. But just 24 hours from now, Tim Ryan is going to be out of a job. J.D. Vance is going to be on his way to the United States Senate. And J.D. is a really good man. J.D., please come up.
Is it great to have the president back in Ohio? Sir, thank you for being here. Look, the stakes are simple. The president said it well. We got to get out there and run up the score on these guys because we need to win, and we need to win big and take our country back. That's exactly what we're going to do. The simple thing here is we need senators who are fighters and senators who are doers. No more talking about big tech. No more talking about the border. We need people who are going to fight for the issues and actually get something done for the people of Ohio. That's what I'm going to do. Let's get out to the polls tomorrow. Thank you all.
Thank you, J.D. You're going to win big. You're going to send a signal to these people that are ruining our country. They're destroying our country. Tomorrow, you also need to get out and vote to re-elect Governor Mike DeWine and your Lieutenant Governor, John Husted. You got to do that. He's done a good job. He's done a good job. Mike and John have been an outstanding team who have fought tirelessly to bring jobs and factories back to Ohio. I worked with them on doing that, including the $20 billion Intel plant that will create more than 20,000 Ohio jobs, and they cut taxes, slashed regulations, and they delivered historic funding for support and for the police officers, and they've really done a job. Mike and John are running against a radical left lunatic who was a disaster as the mayor of Dayton. I got to know her when we had a terrible shooting here. Remember, I went to the hospital. I got to know her, and I said, she's not good. Nan Whaley. Well, it's not much of a race, I have to tell you. They're so far ahead. But I got to know her. She was terrible. Under her watch, Dayton, Ohio, had one of the highest murder rates in the entire country. Yet she backed a budget to cancel the police academy as a commissioner. She voted to defund the police. Oh, that's wonderful. That's what we need in Dayton, where crime is setting records. And let's defund the police, right? She's a high-tax, high-regulation, far-left liberal who would demolish your economy in a matter of months. I think it would be very quick. And she would totally betray the values of the people of Ohio, who have the finest values you can have. Ohio needs to get up and just vote for these two great people, Mike DeWine and John Husted. By the way, are they here? I think so. Come on up. Well, this is a great honor. You know, I gave my endorsement a long time ago, but, oh, that's great. That's really nice. Hi, John. Great.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You know, in Ohio, Mr. President, we fund the police. We've done a great job doing that. We've cut our taxes. We're moving Ohio forward. And thank you for being here to endorse J.D. Vance. J.D. is going to do an absolute phenomenal job.
Well, that was a very nice welcome, but he's up by 25 points or something, and they should be. They should be. Thank you. Thank you very much, fellas. Thank you very much. In addition to re-electing Mike and John, we need everyone to get out and vote for the Republican candidates for Ohio's Supreme Court: Sharon Kennedy, Pat Fisher, Pat DeWine. And we're also joined tonight by Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose. Where's Frank? Hi, Frank. Nice-looking young guy. Frank, you're doing a great job. Really great job. State Treasurer Robert Sprague. Robert, thank you very much. Great job. State Auditor Keith Faber. Thank you, Keith. A man that I love, I tell you. I'm not a big lover of men. But this guy I love. You know, he was one of the best wrestlers in the country. His sons are both All-Americans. And I spoke to his one boy, who's actually a larger person than him, I think like a 188 or something. And he's All-American. I said, well, would you say you were better than your father? He said, sir, I wasn't even close. And he meant it, too. He meant it. But he is a fighter just like he was as a great wrestler, virtually undefeated. And he was the NCAA champion of the country. You know, I dealt with him for a long time, and I'd look at that face. And I said, you know, those ears are a little moved. There's a little action going on with those ears. And I said, Jim Jordan, did you ever wrestle? Yeah, I did, actually. And then I looked at his record, like virtually undefeated. He was the best in the whole country, best wrestler. But I looked at it, and I looked at those ears. I shouldn't say this because I've never told this. I said, that guy had some things going on with the fighting stuff. But he is such a warrior and such an incredible guy. Is he here? Is he here? Well, come here. Come here. I love this guy. Come here, Jim. Say something.
Well, they've heard from me, Mr. President, but they want you back here. I'll just say this. My favorite scripture verse is 2 Timothy 4:7. It says, fight the good fight, finish the course, keep the faith. And I tell folks that's a verse for our country. Fight finish, keep. Words of action, not timid words, not sissy words, words that we associate with America and words that we associate with the best president we've ever had, President Trump. God bless you all.
Thank you, Jim, very much. And a friend of Jim's and a friend of all of us, Warren Davidson. Warren, thank you very much. Good job you're doing. Mike Carey, and a person who, Mike, where's Mike? Hi, Mike. Great. Good job, Mike. Warrior. Another warrior, a person who's very shy, very timid. We're trying to get her to get a little tougher. Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's terrific. She did a commercial. Yes, yes, yes. Somebody can break into my house. We'll treat him very nicely. But first he's got to go through this. And she takes, I said, that's a hell of a commercial. But she's great. And she's done a tremendous job. And she's highly respected, highly respected. And she just won with almost like everybody voted for her. She's great. Thank you very much, Marjorie. It's an honor to have you. Congressional candidates. Oh, I love this guy, Max Miller. Where's Max? So, where is Max? I'll tell you, the job he's done, right? And he was with me for 4 years. I know him maybe almost as well as that guy right there, Jim. But Max is going to be a great congressman, and he turned out to be an incredible campaigner. You know, they're having a hard time with the district, and it kept getting worse and worse. They got him. It was a Trump plus 20, then it was a Trump plus 10, then it was a Trump plus 2. They kept playing. And he kept saying, don't worry about it, sir. I'm going to win anyway. Doesn't matter. And then it went the other way, where it's a little Democrat. He said, don't worry about it. And then in the end, it became like a Trump plus 18. I don't know how the hell you pulled that off. But you know what? You did a great job for me, Max, and I'm here for you, and you're going to have a great career. So, great. Young man and a great man. Grew up right here. Thank you very much, Max. And J.R. Majewski, you know, he suffered a lot of false statements. And I just want to tell you, everyone knows all of the people that I've just named, but they have my complete and total endorsement. You know that. And they treated J.R. very unfairly. They made up a lot of stories. He's a tremendous warrior and a great gentleman, and I think he's going to do very well tomorrow. But I think you got treated very unfairly. I don't even know what's going to happen. You know, the fake news went after him, and we don't know what's going to happen. But I think you're going to have a good result, because the people know that you are a legitimate hero. You know who told me that? You know who told me that? Jim Jordan. That's all I have to hear when Jim says it. So good luck tomorrow, fellas. Good luck tomorrow. Ohio Republican Party Chairman, a friend of mine, Bob Paduchek. Bob, great. You're doing great, Bob. The party's doing great. And a man that's the greatest buyer of commercials in the history of our country, Mike Lindell. Greatest in history. He's the greatest in history at buying commercials. And he's a patriot, too. You know, the FBI raided him. They took his phone. I don't know what the hell they're going to learn about pillows. I don't know why they want. They'll know everything there is to know about pillows. Thank you, Mike. When Republicans take back Congress this week, we will fight for the people of Ohio, and we will win for the people of Ohio. One of the first things we must do is stand up for, can you believe this, parental rights. Who ever thought, can you believe, I think I'm called a politician. I hate to call myself a politician, but a politician would have to stick up for parental rights. The parents have their rights. But now we have to fight because the radical left lunatics want to take parents' rights away from them. But we won't let that happen. We will get critical race theory out of our schools, out of our military, and out of every part of our federal, state, and local governments. And at long last, every parent in America must be empowered to opt out of the forced indoctrination in the classroom and send their child to the public, private, charter, religious, or home school of their choice. We will also, if you don't mind, it's politically incorrect, they tell me, but I'm okay with it. We will keep men like Jim Jordan out of women's sports. Okay? I want to find a woman that can beat Jim, I'd pay a lot to watch it. I'd pay a lot of money to watch that. No teacher should ever be allowed to teach transgender to our children without parental consent. I mean, can you imagine they actually do it without parental consent? The country's going crazy. Another one of our highest priorities under a Republican Congress will be to stop left-wing censorship and to restore free speech in America. And go out and sign up for Truth Social. It's great. It's doing fantastically. It's better than Twitter. It's better than all of them. Just go out and get it. It's hot as a pistol. And everywhere the Republican Party has the chance, we must pass we have to do this, critical election integrity reforms, including universal voter ID, citizenship confirmation. You know, they're fighting us on citizenship confirmation. Can you believe it? Now, the only reason somebody wouldn't want to do that, think of it, is they have to cheat, okay? Common thing. Who wouldn't want that? We don't want to learn where you come from. What country do you come from? You're not allowed to ask a question like that as they go to vote for your local representative. No more fake drop boxes, JD. No private money pouring into local election offices. And ultimately, we need same-day voting with only paper ballots and voter ID. And you'll save a lot of money on the machines. You're going to save a lot of money on the machine. Now, think of it. Pennsylvania, 3-4 days. They're going to be 3-4 days late. What a joke. What a joke. There's something going on. We're just hours away from the most important midterm election in American history, and we need a landslide so big that the radical left cannot rig it or cannot steal it. Everybody needs to get out and vote, and if you care about election integrity, volunteer as an election worker, a poll watcher, a poll challenger. That's what you have to do, because they do it, and they do it in a very rough manner, but we're going to swamp them. This is the year we're going to take back the House, we're going to take back the Senate, and we're going to take back America. And in 2024, most importantly, we are going to take back our magnificent White House. We'll take it back. Together we will fight for more jobs for Ohio families, fair trade for Ohio workers, and more Ohio factories forging more products stamped with Uncle Sam, the beautiful phrase, made in the USA, Uncle Sam. We will shut down Biden's border disaster, reinstitute our strong Remain in Mexico policy, strengthen the patriots, and they are indeed patriots of ICE and Border Patrol, and we will again end catch and release. We will end chain migration. We will end the visa lottery. And we will end illegal immigration in our country once and for all. We want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. We will stop the crime wave in Democrat-run cities. We will give our police the power they need and the respect that they deserve. And we will not take legal protection away from our police. They want to take protection so that if somebody sues a police person for doing their job, they have to go out and hire their own lawyer. That's not a good idea. We will restore law and order in America. We will hold China accountable for unleashing the virus upon the world. $65 trillion in damage. They can't pay that much, but something's going to happen. We will abolish all COVID mandates and lockdowns and rehire every patriot who was fired from the military with an apology and full back pay. And we will defend our Constitution, we will defend the Second Amendment, and we will proudly uphold the Judeo-Christian values and principles of our nation's founding. We will restore patriotic education to our schools, and we will teach our children to love their country, honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. Always respect our flag. In conclusion, our MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, is by far the greatest political movement in the history of our country. They never challenge that. They've never challenged it. It's an amazing thing. They wouldn't challenge it. If I said anything slightly wrong, they challenge, but they can't challenge that. Together, we are standing up against some of the most menacing forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. Despite great outside dangers, our biggest threat remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within our country. You know who I'm talking about. You see them all the time. But no matter how big or powerful the corrupt radical left Democrats that we are fighting against may be, you must never forget, this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. That's who it belongs to. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right. From Akron to Toledo, from Cleveland to Columbus, from Youngstown to Dayton, you inherit the legacy of generations of Americans who risked their everything for the beloved country that they love so much. Ohio is the state that gave us American heroes, icons, and legends with names like Neil Armstrong, Annie Oakley, and the great General and President Ulysses S. Grant. And this is the state that gave us legions of farmers, soldiers, steelworkers, and skilled craftsmen who built this country with the sweat of their brows and the strength of their spines, and they suffered so greatly. But they also gave us something very, very special, the goodness of their souls. Your Ohio ancestors fought the battles. They broke the barriers. They conquered the unknown dangers. They pushed into uncharted frontiers, and they made America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in 50 years, and where the stock market finished the worst first half of the year since 1872. Likewise, we are a nation that has the highest energy costs in its history. We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, as we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and many others for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says, as we have more liquid gold right under our feet than any other country anywhere in the world. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal. Yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal will lead to our total destruction. We are a nation whose leaders are demanding all electric cars, even though they can't go far, cost too much, and whose batteries are produced in China with materials only available in China, when an unlimited amount of gasoline is available inexpensively in the United States. But it is not available in China. We are a nation that ended oil exploration and production in the United States, just as the price of oil reached an all-time high. What other country would do such a thing? We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your commander-in-chief, and for 4 straight years, it didn't happen. And China, with Taiwan, is next. We are a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against opposing political parties like never before. We've got a Federal Bureau of Investigation that won't allow bad election-changing facts to be presented to the public, and which offers $1 million to a writer of fiction about Donald Trump to lie and say it was fact, and pays a man $200,000 to get Trump. Go out and get Trump. Where Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation, and the FBI knew it wasn't, and a Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and fraud. And we have a man who is the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now casually talking about nuclear war with Russia, which would be World War III and far more devastating than any of the previous world wars because of the weaponry that no one can ever even imagine or think about. It is so powerful. We are a nation that no longer has a free press. Fake news is all you get, and they are indeed the enemy of the people. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant and out of control like never before, and where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to rival our own. And just 2 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. They respected us more than they ever respected us. And perhaps most importantly, we're a nation that no longer is respected or listened to anywhere around the world. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. We are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, and faith. And we are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain is broken, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the very bottom of every single list. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go into stores and openly rob them, beat up the workers, and kill the customers, leave with armloads of goods but with no retribution, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where the people are allowed to murder, kill, rob, and rape innocent victims, and they have no cash bail, and they're back on the streets allowed to do it again in a matter of hours. We are a nation where fentanyl and all other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than formula for our beautiful little babies. A nation whose once revered airports are dirty, crowded, a mess, an unsightly, horrible mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave, and they have no idea when it will. Where ticket prices have tripled, they don't have the pilots to fly the planes, they don't seek qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. And we are a nation that has just plain lost its way. But we are a nation that is not going to allow this horror to continue. 2 years ago, we were a great nation and we will be a great nation again. But not to detract from tomorrow's very important, even critical election. And I would say, in the strongest way, it's a country-saving election, specifically including the election of all the people that I'm going to name. I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th, at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. We want nothing to detract from the importance of tomorrow. You understand that, JD? So I'm going to go over a list of people, and I think you'll find it really inspiring, because they're very inspiring people. So we must first elect J.D. Vance for the Senate in Ohio, Mike DeWine for governor in Ohio, Dr. Oz for Senate in Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano for governor in Pennsylvania, Blake Masters for Senate in Arizona, Carrie Lake for governor in Arizona. A great guy who I've known for a long time. He fought with Jim Jordan and all the rest on the fake impeachments. Lee Zeldin for governor in New York. He's doing great. One of the greatest athletes you'll ever meet, Herschel Walker for Senate in Georgia. And Brian Kemp for governor in Georgia. Adam Laxalt for Senate in Nevada. And Joe Lombardo for governor in Nevada. Marco Rubio for Senate in Florida. And Ron DeSantis for governor in Florida. Tudor Dixon for governor in Michigan. And Ron Johnson for Senate in Wisconsin. Tim Michaels for governor in Wisconsin. Chuck Grassley for Senate in Iowa. And Kim Reynolds for governor in Iowa. Katie Britt for Senate in Alabama. Kelly Shabaka for Senate in Alaska. Mike Dunleavy for governor in Alaska. John Bozeman for Senate in Arkansas. Sarah Sanders, did you ever hear of her? She's great. For governor in Arkansas. Leora Levy for Senate in Connecticut. Mike Crapo for Senate in Idaho. Jerry Moran for Senate in Kansas. Derek Schmidt for governor in Kansas. Rand Paul for Senate in Kentucky. John Kennedy for Senate in Louisiana. Eric Schmidt for Senator in Missouri. Ted Budd for Senate in North Carolina. John Hoeven for Senate in North Dakota. James Lankford for Senate in Oklahoma. Mark Wayne Mullen, who's a great guy, great future, for Senate in Oklahoma. Kevin Stitt for governor in Oklahoma. Tim Scott, another great, great guy, for Senate in South Carolina. Henry McMaster doing an unbelievable job for governor in South Carolina. Mike Lee for Senate in Utah. Gerald Malloy for Senate in Vermont. Darren Bailey, he's doing great, for governor in Illinois, and Illinois has to defeat Pritzker. Darren's going to do it. Dan Cox for governor in Maryland. Jeff Deal for governor in Massachusetts. Scott Jensen for governor in Minnesota. Mark Ronchetti for governor of New Mexico. Kristi Noem for governor of South Dakota. Bill Lee for governor in Tennessee. Greg Abbott for governor in Texas. All of our wonderful attorney general candidates, Abe Hamadeh in Arizona, Tim Griffin in Arkansas, Ashley Moody in Florida, Brenna Byrd in Iowa, Matt DePerno in Michigan, Sigal Chattah in Nevada, Michael Henry is doing incredibly well in New York, Dave Yost in Ohio, Alan Wilson in South Carolina, and Ken Paxton in Texas. And all other Trump-endorsed Republicans up and down the line, including Mark Fincham, Jim Marchant, Christina Caramo. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will stand up to the radical left Democrats, and we will fight for America like no one has ever, ever, ever fought before. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever, ever back down. As long as we are confident, united, and loyal to the cause, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a chance, because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and to God alone. The silent majority is back and stronger than ever before. We will take our country back. My fellow citizens, this incredible journey we are on together has only just begun, and it is time to start talking about greatness, 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 greatness again for our country. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with the help of everyone here tonight, and citizens all across our land, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Ohio. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. JD, go get him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
can swing.